Hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell for the latest Cyberpunk 2077 news, secrets, leaks, and updates. So, the early reviews are in on the 2.0 reboot, which is set to release on September 21st. And many are wondering if it's a terrible disaster or a beautiful redemption for CD Projekt Red and the Cyberpunk 2077 franchise. So, let's find out and get into the details of the early reviews for the Cyberpunk 2077 2.0 reboot. Technical performance. The original launch of Cyberpunk 2077 was marred by performance issues that ranged from frame rate drops to outright crashes. Because reviewers who have played the game on a 50-character level are reporting a stable frame rate, both in high-action sequences and the more intensive dialogue in crowd-heavy scenes. This FPS stability is a significant overhaul that likely involved optimizing the code, plus streamlining asset loading and reducing the stress on the CPU and GPU. And this is big because it sets the stage for all the other features and improvements. For example, a game can have the most innovative game mechanics and the most engaging story, but if it's plagued by performance issues, those elements get overshadowed. The consistent frame rate in Update 2.0 lets players fully engage with the game's other enhancements without the annoying concern of technical glitches. This is a crucial first step in rehabilitating the game's reputation and provides a stable foundation for further updates and expansions. Attribute and perk system. One of the most significant changes in Update 2.0 is the complete overhaul of the attribute and perk system. In the original version, the perk system was often criticized for its lack of clarity and intuitiveness. Players found themselves investing in perks that seemed useful, but ultimately didn't contribute to gameplay in any meaningful way. Now early reviewers are reporting that Update 2.0 addresses this by introducing a more intuitive perk system, not only in its design, but also its usability. One reviewer shared that early in the game players are prompted to reset their attributes, a feature that lets them adapt to the new system without being punished for their previous choices. But many players are upset with this, because CDPR should have included a new Game Plus feature for returning players. The redesigned perk system isn't just a list of compounding upgrades, it's a framework that encourages strategic thinking and planning. Based on early reports, the new system lets perks from different skill trees combine in a way that serves the player's unique character build for physical abilities and reflexes. This is a far cry from the original system, where perks often existed in silos, contributing to a disjointed and less satisfying gameplay experience. Early reviewers shared that they spent a full 2 hours just exploring the depth of the new extensive perk system. Gameplay mechanics. Reviewers also went into detail about some of the new gameplay mechanics, and that Cyberpunk 2077's 2.0 update introduces new finishes and abilities that drastically upgrade the combat system. One reviewer specifically cited a katana perk that significantly increased the speed of attacks, which will fundamentally alter the dynamics of melee combat. Because in the original game, melee attacks often felt like a less effective and viable option compared to ranged combat. So the new katana perk transforms melee combat into a whirlwind of activity, making it a more attractive option for players by adding variety to combat scenarios. Based on the feedback from reviewers, this introduction of new finishes and abilities isn't just about making individual attacks more powerful, it's about creating a combat system where different abilities and finishes can be combined in creative ways. This opens up a large number of new strategies for players to explore, making the combat experience more engaging and less formulaic. The reviewer's experience suggests that the new system allows for a level of creativity and strategic thinking that wasn't possible in the original base game. This is a significant step forward in making Cyberpunk 2077 not just a spectacle of graphics and story, but also a challenging and rewarding gameplay experience. Vehicle combat. The original Cyberpunk 2077 offered a massive and dense cityscape, but provided limited opportunities for meaningful actions and engagement while players were in a vehicle. Early reviewers have confirmed that 2.0 update changes this by introducing vehicle combat, a feature that lets players use hand or mounted weapons to beat back law enforcement and battle gangs and enemies. The driving mechanics themselves have also received a significant overhaul. Steering's now more responsive and the physics of the vehicles feel more grounded. In the original game, driving often felt like if the cars were ice skating on a concrete road. So the improvements in Update 2.0 makes driving not just a means of travel, but a more realistic driving experience overall. Realistic police system. The original police system in Cyberpunk 2077 was a point of contention for many players. Law enforcement officers would spawn seemingly out of nowhere, often directly behind the player, which quickly broke the immersion experience that was clearly intended by CDPR developers. Reviewers have shared that the 2.0 update fixes this issue, with a complete overhaul of the police system. Now police enter fights in a more logical manner, arriving in vehicles and taking the time to follow the available routes and roads to reach the crime scene in a more realistic way. This change adds GTA-level strategy and realism to the law enforcement dynamics, as players now have a brief window to escape or prepare for the incoming police force. Reviewers also confirmed that the 2.0 update introduces tiered levels of a police response system, where it'll escalate from regular officers to the heavily armed and armored Max TAC police units. Max TAC will offer a significant challenge, even for high-level characters, adding a certain level of difficulty and risk to criminal activities within the game. This is a far cry from the original system, where police responses often felt unintelligent and unaggressive. The new system forces players to think twice before engaging in illegal activities, and now provides a more serious challenge for those who choose to wrestle with law enforcement units. Quality of life changes. According to the early reviewers, Update 2.0 also brings a series of quality of life improvements that enhance the overall gameplay experience. These range from more meaningful cyberware and new apartments to a more streamlined inventory system. For example, the inventory system now categorizes items in a way that makes them easier to find, which will reduce the time players spend navigating menus and increasing the time spent engaging with the game's world and enemies. The reviewers did emphasize that these quality of life improvements are designed to make in-game items feel more meaningful and useful, which will in turn make every action in the game feel more impactful. This attention to detail is a clear indication that the developers aren't just focused on fixing large and glaring issues, but are also committed to refining the smaller elements that contribute to the overall enjoyment of the game. So given the positive feedback from the early reviewers and the details on the 2.0 update, it looks like new and old players should revisit Cyberpunk 2077, because patch 2.0 is technically a reboot that addresses both the major and minor issues that plagued the original release. For CD Projekt Red, this update isn't just about fixing a game, it's about their attempt to restore trust with the community of players who were let down by the original release of the base game. And based on early reviews, it seems they're on the right path for their redemption. And the implications for a successful rebrand of Cyberpunk 2077 and CD Projekt Red are significant. A successful reboot not only helps to restore the reputation of Cyberpunk 2077, but it also helps restore faith in the CDPR developers' ability to deliver on their promises. This could have a positive impact on the company's market value, which took serious damage following the original game's disastrous launch. In a market where the success of a single title can make or break a studio, the sheer number of changes being reported by early reviewers could mark the turning point for CD Projekt Red, which could setting them and their franchises on a course towards credibility and financial stability. So, if you like this content and want more of it, please like and subscribe for the latest Cyberpunk 2077 news, secrets, opinions, and updates. Until next time, guys. Keep raging.